All right, hey everyone. So, being the privileged white boy that I am, I thought that today I might talk about male loneliness, specifically within the West. Just pretend for a second that you were on the toilet or something, you were locked in your bathroom, and all of a sudden you collapsed from some kind of heart attack, right? In that situation, who would come for you? Or, like, would someone, how long would it take for someone to realize that you were absent? Or how long before they cared enough to drive to your house to get themselves inside some way? Maybe they found the key and they let themselves in through the front door, and then they found you collapsed on the porcelain. How long would that take? Like who would actually care enough to seek you out in that situation? Well, today I'm going to show you why loneliness has become such a big issue, and how you can combat it within your own personal life. So in that situation, loneliness will be such a big factor because obviously, if you have no close friends or close relatives that you live nearby, or someone at your job that cares about you, maybe they'll realize that you didn't show up, and then they'll come to get you like immediately to see if everything's all right. But so many guys are so lonely in today's society, and it's not just limited to guys, but me, a guy talking about fellow guys, we're so lonely that often most of us, if we just passed away on the toilet, nobody would know. We would just stay inside there and just rot inside our own house for like half a year before the authorities found out that we were dead for some reason, right? Because probably nobody would even care. So many men just go under the radar in today's society. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about. So as humans, we need a tribe, obviously, right? Humans are social beings. We're tribal beings. We need a group of about 24 to 150 people that we spend most of our life around. And, we know these people within our tribe super well. They're sort of this community that serves as our larger family, kind of our clan, right? You grow up around them. They support you all your life. That's very important for humans. And this sort of tribe used to be just your immediate and extended family and maybe like some neighboring families, but over time, since the industrial revolution, the founding of cities, and modern divorce law, extended family, multi-generational homes, and the importance of family as a whole has kind of fallen away as a long held value in our society. Nobody really thinks that having a good relationship with your cousins or your grandparents or even your parents anymore is important, because the system is what's taking care of you. The government is what's taking care of you. Your job, your employer is what's taking care of you. You don't need your family to help you hunt down a boar, for example. Just know there's no more necessity for that kind of human attachment. So after the Industrial Revolution, and extended families kind of broke apart, we didn't need tribes anymore. We settled into cities, and that was replaced by the nuclear family and the suburban overhaul in the West, for example, right? Like during the 60s, you only really live with your immediate family in this little suburban house. You're moderately familiar with your neighbors, depending on how well connected your neighborhood is. You only see your family and like your distant family on holidays and special occasions. That's really what the traditional family is like in the West, right? You just have your mom, your dad, maybe like two kids. Very small, very economic. They live in a house in the suburbs. They're connected with their neighbors. They're keeping up with the Joneses. They're going to the neighborhood barbecues, and they don't really see their distant family except holidays, special occasions, stuff like that. That's what's considered traditional now, even though that's like completely different from how human beings have been living for like thousands of years. But yeah, even now in the 21st century, the nuclear family is falling away because of divorce rates, cohabitation. It's unmarried couples living together as if they were married and in a long term relationship. And these are basically environments where parents could separate at any moment without really any repercussion, right? Because if you're two people who are cohabiting together, right, you're not married, but you're living with your girlfriend, and you just happen to get her pregnant one day, and then you have a kid, that you have a kid under your roof who's legally your kid, but you're not legally married, so you can just leave your girl with your kid behind, just one day, just because you want to, and then your kid's going to go without a father, and you're going to go off scot-free. I'm not saying everyone's going to do that, but there's basically no safety net, no guarantee that fathers are going to be there for their kids, or that mothers are going to be there to raise their kids, and that fathers can be providers. They have no duty to do that anymore. And divorce law totally doesn't help either, because then a woman could take half her man's belongings, and the kids are stuck with one of the two, and they don't get to either have the nurturing aspect of their mother, where they have compassion and love from her, or they don't have the sort of the criticizing but loving eye of their father, who's there to improve them, who's there to kind of be their safety net in life, who's there to teach them how to tie their shoes, how to fix a car, how to handle women, stuff like that. And it's incredibly important for sons as well, because if they miss out on their father, they're not going to know how to be a proper man. And if girls miss out on their mother, they're not going to know how to be a good wife, how to be a good sister, how to be a good girlfriend. They're not going to know how to not be a sucker to a man, basically. They're not going to know how to carry themselves in modern society, because they've never had a positive female role model. So sons and daughters being with a parent of the same sex as them is incredibly important, and we're missing out on that. And I think that because we've missed out on that in Western society for so many years, that's why women and men don't really understand their place within traditional gender roles. And because this is going to sound crazy and like misogynist, but because women and men no longer have clearly defined gender roles, because they no longer are aligning themselves with their inner masculine or feminine energy respective to men and women, we're not really getting anywhere as a society. That's why I think we're going downhill, or at least it's a big reason. This modern divorce law, this recipe for leaving their kids out to dry, is just simply making everyone isolated and out of touch with fellow humans. And society is basically set up in a way so that there's everything to be lost. You know, you're going to lose money, you're going to lose freedom, you're going to lose time on a marriage, but you're not going to gain a lot from marriage, to committing to a woman, to proposing to her, to going through a wedding, right? You got to spend money on a wedding, you got to spend money on a ring, you got to spend time, you got to spend the rest of your life with this woman, right? You got to raise kids with her, so she better be pretty great. So because marriage is such a commitment in terms of money, time, attention, even your freedom, right? You can't go out and have drinks with the boys and play pool with them anymore once you have a lady, or at least you can't do it as often. So you sacrifice all of these things just to be stuck with one woman for the rest of your life. This is why marriage is so uncommon in Western society, because it seems like such a bad investment. It seems like such a bad deal. Same with getting a multi-generational home, where you have your parents living with you, and you have and there's you and your wife, obviously, and there's your siblings and their spouses and their kids and your kids. That's why nobody's getting married, and why nobody has a multi-generational home anymore, because fewer and fewer people actually do it, and they're constantly bad-mouthing having children as a burden and a curse. And because everyone's bad-mouthing, having children and basically extending your bloodline, we're well below replacement rates in Western society. I think Elon Musk talks about this a lot, but we're well below the point where we have enough children, we have enough kids growing up to take care of their parents. There's not nearly enough kids in that equation. So a lot of the adults right now are going to be in old age homes, and they're going to be completely alone when that time comes around, like 30, 40, 50 years in the future. There's going to be no kids to take care of them, because they never bothered to have kids, because they thought it was a burden. So they're basically just screwing themselves over right now by not trying to get into relationships, and not by trying to have kids from a purely pragmatic perspective. So this is bad for adults, but even worse for impressionable children, because children learn so many of their mannerisms and attitudes about certain things from their parents. So children are constantly isolated nowadays from people their age, and don't learn anything about being social or adventurous or kind, because they're basically just sat inside watching Cocomelon and shaking their ass on TikTok. Because if you're a kid and your parents are assholes, you're probably going to be an asshole yourself. You're going to learn the asshole behavior from them, right? That's kind of what the cycle of abuse is. If your dad beats you, if your dad's a drunk, you're probably going to drink to cope with that pain when you're older, and you're probably going to beat your own kids to deal with that pain when you're older as well. So abuse and basically just poor behavior is kind of a multi-generational cycle. Same with positive behavior. It's inherited from one generation to another because we're so impressionable as humans, right? We're nurtured to be bad people, so we usually become bad people. And that's really a big challenge in today's society, and that's another reason why people are so lonely and why so many people are so hesitant to get into families, because they've had bad experiences themselves. So like I said, no kids are going outside anymore because we've had these mega companies, these mega giant tech companies inventing these high dopamine products that children just consume all day, every day, instead of just going outside and, learning more about their world and acting like a human. So all the kids are sat inside on screens instead of learning how to be actual humans. We basically raised a generation of iPad kids who are brain dead in basically every sense of the word. And they have yet to learn the value of delayed gratification, hard work, honesty, or even basic life skills and basic respect for fellow human beings, despite being old enough to take care of themselves, right? How many 20-year-olds are just going to college because, well, everyone else is, and everyone just told me that it was the right decision, so I guess I'll waste thousands of dollars on a meaningless education because I have no other options and I never even thought of my future, right? Nobody takes responsibility for themselves anymore. I mean, I sound like an absolute boomer when I say that, but so many people just aren't aware of their own future. So many people just don't know how to plan things out anymore. So many people don't know how to eat properly, how to just take care of themselves and do basic tasks, even though they're like 20 years old. Because their parents were never around to teach them those basic skills, right? They had no father to tell them how to be responsible. They had no mother to, I guess, pick them up when they fell. So we basically found ourselves in a situation where we have a whole generation of kids who just don't want to do anything with themselves, who are just dopamine addicts. And honestly, I don't blame them because they've been exposed to, high dopamine television, YouTube, TikTok, all this stuff ever since they were at a very young age. So they're conditioned to expect it now. They know nothing else. So they don't bother looking for what else is out there because they think they already know it. So with this current situation that we find our society in, there's no wonder that so many men feel completely separate and isolated and alienated from a society that hates men. There's no wonder that so many women only find meaning and purpose within their soulless careers instead of being mothers. And so many kids' biggest role models are these female rappers, these degenerate female rappers, and these random streamers who get banned every other day for pedophilia or exposing themselves on stream or something, right? Since children's parents are no longer around, and since they've just been tossed an iPad ever since they were a toddler, their biggest role models are these giant influencers online who are 9 out of 10 times complete degenerates, who are just these, I don't know, reaction streamers and female rappers like Cardi B and IShowSpeed are the biggest role models for children nowadays, which is absolutely terrifying. These are honestly who kids are learning from, and I think it's going to be very interesting within the next decade to see how these children who were raised on Cocomelon and TikTok and softcore porn and degenerate streamers and Cardi B, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they grow up, to see how they try and cope with being an adult and trying to handle self-respect. I think it's going to be incredibly chaotic if they take over society, if that ever happens. So yeah, one of the reasons why Western society is doomed, but whatever. It is what it is. So how do you fix your own loneliness problem, right? That's probably why you clicked on this video. You're feeling lonely and you want to combat it. Well, I've struggled with it before, but how I fixed it was basically by getting a tribe, right? You got to live like a human being is supposed to live. So go to somewhere in person or online as well is a good temporary solution. But just start talking to people for once. Start saying good morning on the street. Asking what time the gym closes to like a random person within the gym is fine. Just start exposing yourself to people more. Start having these one-on-one discussions if you're more introverted like I am. Just start approaching specific people and asking them specific questions, and just make that your goal for the day. Just talk to one person, right? You can go to clubs, you can go to meetups, you can go to seminars about things that you're interested in. Just go on Google, search club slash meetup slash seminar for a certain topic near me, and just see what you get. Say if I'm interested in Magic the Gathering or something, I search up Magic the Gathering club near me, and then I'll get like a card shop that holds a Magic the Gathering tournament every other Monday within my city, and then maybe I'll go there, and then maybe I'll make some friends, and I'll develop my social skills, and I'll find my own tribe. And yeah, that's just one of the things that you can do. But yeah, just find somewhere to go where you're going to be genuinely interested in the subject that's at hand, and the people there. So maybe that's like a hiking club even, or maybe that's like a CrossFit gym or something. But whatever it is, never be afraid of approaching and talking to people. So you can kind of annihilate this social anxiety by meditating, doing affirmations about your social skills, just telling yourself every single day, I'm a social person, I'm a capable person, I can talk to people without looking like I'm autistic. Hit gym workouts to build your confidence. And every time you approach a person, every time before you talk to them, just in your head, list one imperfection about them, right? So maybe say, oh, this guy has a pimple on his face, which means his skincare or his diet isn't ideal. So he's a little imperfect, which means that I can talk to him, right? See, we kind of have like this like screwed up ego thing in the modern day, where we think that we aren't worthy of certain people's attention because we think that we're kind of below them. That's a problem that a lot of guys today have. But you can kind of destroy like that like sense of littleness within you, that sense of unworthiness within you, by just listing one imperfection about every person that you talk to before you approach them. And that especially helps with women. You may think that every community that you want to join will turn you down because you're not qualified enough, you're not knowledgeable enough to join that community. So that's never going to happen if your desire to join is real, if your desire is authentic to join, and you act like a proper human being at the function. You open yourself up to social connection. You'll be the kind of person you like to see at the function, basically. And you have nothing to lose, right? Just say if I'm going to a new jiu-jitsu meetup, but I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. I'll walk into the martial arts gym. I'll introduce myself to the people there. I say, hey, my name's X. I'm here for the jiu-jitsu session. Do you mind showing me around, showing me the moves? And they'll say, yeah, man, come onto the mat. We'll teach you the hard way. So yeah, like just open yourself up to social interaction. Just talking with people like one-on-one is fine. You don't have to like go up to the front and start like standing on a soapbox and like addressing the masses. Just starting with one-on-one conversations is great. Go to the function and just look interested. You got nothing to lose. There might also be nothing close to you, no clubs, no seminars close to you that you want to join. But I'm sure that there is. All you got to do is look deeper. Anything you're at least vaguely interested in, you should at least go to one meeting for that subject. Maybe there's like, I don't know, a French club at my school, and I want to learn French, but I don't know any French to begin with. So I go to one lesson, and I learn the ropes from the more experienced people there. Just act happy and grateful to be there. Pay attention, show genuine interest, and you'll basically be welcome anywhere, right? This is a universal principle for dealing with people, right? Just be interested and don't be afraid to speak up, right? And ask a lot of questions. People love it when you ask questions about what they're interested in, right? So your actionable step for this video is to read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. If you're into the self-improvement space, you've probably heard of it, but it's just an excellent book for meeting people in person and online and just talking to them in a way that's authentic, but that is also going to get you a lot of recognition and attention and a lot of acceptance, especially. So after you read each chapter out of How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? Each chapter is divided into like one principle. So after you learn every one principle within the book, go and put the book down, go outside, go to a family member, and just practice that specific tactic with them, right? So maybe I read the chapter on showing genuine interest in people, and then I go up to my mom, and she's like doing something, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And then I show like genuine interest in what she's doing, right? And then she gets a little more happy that day because I asked her a genuinely interested question in what she was doing. So yeah, practice the tactics just described in each chapter. Go check out a club, a community, a seminar, just some space, and initiate a conversation with two people there. So this can be a church, this can be an MMA club, a charity where you volunteer, a small Discord or a subreddit where you go on a voice chat, or like a forum, anything, any kind of community that focuses on something that you're interested in. Just go there and talk to two people, and you're never gonna regret it, right? If you're like the average guy, you're not really comfortable with talking to people or like initiating with them because you were traumatized as a kid by this one bad social interaction, just go ahead and do that, right? Just force yourself to not be a bitch and just go and talk to people, okay? So that's gonna just about do it for this video. Like and subscribe if this stuff helped you. Share it with someone you know who needs it. I know that there's a lot of socially anxious people there, and let's be honest, the more people that are out there that know how to talk to people, the better society we're gonna have, right? We're gonna have better politicians who make for good causes. We're gonna have better doctors, better social workers, better therapists. Comment if it helped you, and share with someone you know who needs to learn a little bit more about social interaction. You know who those people are. I'll see ya.